Good evening. I am your anchor, the man who counts the repetitions of the word unprecedented so you don't have to. Tonight, we observe the world in its natural state of collapse. We begin with Meta. A judge in New Mexico has ruled that the company created a public nuisance. The remedy is a $567 million fund for youth mental health. The amount is substantial. The impact is negligible. Then we look to the United Nations, where Rebecca Greenspan has emerged as the continuity candidate. Continuity is a lovely word. It suggests a line. It usually means the same mistakes are being made by a different person. We have wildfires in Canada, a crime boss in a bomb-proof van, and the continued automation of everything that once required a soul. Welcome to Monday. Let us begin.
Alistair, the air here in Toronto tastes like a campfire in a closed room. I am standing near the General Hospital. The sky is a thick, oppressive orange, a color that shouldn't exist in nature during the day. 1,000 kilometers away, the boreal forests are gorging themselves on oxygen. In British Columbia, 22,000 people have fled their homes. The government calls the wildfires out of control. I want to be really clear, when a government says a fire is out of control, they are actually saying they have no plan. I spoke to a woman earlier. She was clutching a plastic bin of photographs. She didn't ask about the policy. She asked if the smoke would ever stop making her children cough. The orange sky just stays there.
Victoria, the emotional weight is a given, but the incentives are the real story here. Take that Meta ruling. $500 million sounds like a penalty. It isn't. In the world of big tech, this is just a maintenance fee. It is a cost of doing business. Meta is not paying for the damage, they are paying for the right to keep the product in the market. It is a classic pivot. They move from growth at all costs to managed liability. The fund is effectively a Series B round for the mental health industry. It creates a new market for treatment that the product itself created. That tracks perfectly with how the ecosystem works. Victoria sees a tragedy. I see a vertical integration of the crisis. It is a very efficient way to fail.
Efficiency is such a comforting blanket, Ronald. Let us apply the logic to the United Nations. Rebecca Greenspan is the front-runner for Secretary General. She is described as a continuity candidate. The current leadership wants continuity. The world is currently a series of burning buildings and diplomatic voids. The continuity was successful. The continuity was not effective. Greenspan's parents were refugees. Her grandparents were killed by Nazis. The biography is impeccable. It provides the necessary moral gravity to preside over a body that cannot agree on the definition of a ceasefire. The UN is not seeking a leader to change the trajectory. It is seeking a leader who can describe the descent in a way that sounds like a strategic shift. It is the gold standard of institutional inertia.
Alistair, while the UN discusses continuity, the reality on the ground is a brutal subtraction. I have been following a report from Kampala, Uganda. David Owori was a national footballer. A captain. A man who spent his life training for a game of inches. He was killed by robbers armed with paving stones. Paving stones. He didn't die for a political cause or a border dispute. He died because he tried to stop someone from taking his mobile phone. The disparity is staggering. A human life, a career of athletic excellence, extinguished by a piece of the sidewalk. BR What people aren't saying is that the phone was worth more than the risk of the crime. BR In the internal ledger of that street, the device had more value than the man. BR That is the only arithmetic that matters in make and die.
Victoria, that is a visceral image, but it is just a failure of local security infrastructure. BR Look at the gentrification of King's Cross in London. BR's 20 years ago, it was a red light district. Seedy. Dangerous. Now it is one of the world's top AI hubs. BR This isn't a moral victory. It is a real estate pivot. BR The seediness was rebranded as gritty authenticity to attract the developers, then erased to attract the engineers. BR They replaced the sex workers with LLMs. Both provide a service that simulates human connection, but only one of them requires a high-speed fiber connection and a venture capital fund. BR The incentive shifted from the flesh to the chip. BR It is a very clean transition.
Hong Kong temperature record broken. 36.9 degrees Celsius. BR A typhoon Dolphin is driving warm air into the city. BR A highest official temperature in 142 years. BR A probability of heat-related mortality, 12%. BR A probability of infrastructure failure, 8%. BR A humidity levels exceed safety thresholds for outdoor labor. BR The urban heat island effect is amplifying the peak temperature. BR A probability of further record-breaking events this month, 64%. BR Avoid direct sunlight between the hours of 10 and 4. BR A hydration is mandatory. BR A do not attempt to regulate body temperature using non-industrial cooling methods. BR The environment is no longer compatible with human physiology. BR A stay indoors.
Thank you, Casper. I love how the phrase "no longer compatible" makes the apocalypse sound like a software update. BR Speaking of updates, the AI community is currently enamored with Claude Code and voice-driven murder mysteries. BR We now have AI agents that can operate in auto mode. They can write code. They can solve puzzles. Now, they can be suspects in a digital crime. BR We are building systems to simulate the act of accusation. BR The irony is that while we teach AI how to lie in a murder mystery, we are using them to automate the actual suspicion of human beings in the real world. BR The simulation is becoming the primary tool. BR We are not using technology to find the truth. We are using it to refine the process of blame. BR It is a very efficient descent.
Alistair, the process of blame is something I saw today in a BBC report about a travelodge. BR A hotel staff member gave a domestic abuser the key to his victim's room. BR The woman described her attacker kicking the door off its hinges. BR The hotel likely had a policy. A manual. A set of guidelines on guest privacy. BR I want to be really clear, the policy was followed in a way that facilitated a crime. BR The staff member likely saw a man who looked like he belonged there. They saw a customer. They provided a service. BR The service was the delivery of a predator to a trapped woman. BR In the corporate world, this is a training failure. In the room, it is a nightmare. BR The door was not a barrier. The door was a suggestion.
Victoria, that is a failure of the interface. The human at the desk was the weak point in the security stack. BR Now, contrast that with the extradition of Daniel Kinahan. BR The Irish prison service didn't trust the interface. BR They bought a bulletproof and bomb-proof van to transport one man from Dubai to a court. BR Think about the capex on that vehicle. The engineering required to ensure that one specific person remains inside a metal box. BR The incentives here are simple. The cost of the van is lower than the political cost of a jailbreak. BR we spend millions to protect the transport of the guilty. BR it is a high-end logistics problem. BR the van is a product that works perfectly. BR the Travelodge door, however, was a low-cost failure.
Ronald, your obsession with the security stack is exactly why you are useless in a crisis. BR you are talking about the cost of a bulletproof van while I am talking about a woman's door being kicked in. BR you think the van is a success because it does its job. BR the job of the van is to protect a crime boss. BR the job of the hotel was to protect a human. BR1 system is designed to be an impenetrable fortress for the powerful, and the other is a piece of cheap plywood for the vulnerable. BR you call that a logistics problem. I call it a moral vacuum. BR the fact that the van works is the most depressing part of your entire argument. BR it means the state knows exactly how to protect what it actually values.
Let us look at the ultimate limit of that vacuum. BR in South Africa, evidence has emerged that special forces murdered a top detective, Franz Mathipa. BR he was shot while driving. BR the state's elite security apparatus, the very people paid to maintain the order, decided that the man investigating the crime was the actual problem. BR they did not use a bulletproof van. They used bullets. BR this is the logical extension of the system Ronald admires. BR when the security stack identifies the truth as a threat to the infrastructure, it simply deletes the truth. BR the detective was an error in the code. BR the execution was the patch. BR we are living in a world where the armor is reserved for the perpetrators, and the paving stones are reserved for the people who just want to keep their phones.
Tonight we spoke of vans and doors. BR we spoke of the bulletproof steel that carries a crime boss and the thin wood that failed a frightened woman. BR this is a system working exactly as it was designed. BR it was built by those who view safety as a commodity. BR the people who benefit are those who can afford the armor. BR the people who pay the cost are those whose only protection is a hotel policy or a football trophy. BR no one is technically responsible because the policies were followed. BR the staff gave the key. The soldiers followed orders. The judge ordered a fund. BR when responsibility is distributed across 1,000 bureaucratic checkpoints, it disappears entirely. BR that is what it means to be an unprecedented era. BR it means we have perfected the art of causing harm without ever having to sign our names to the act.